How have you found the telly stuff?
Yeah, cool. Scary. And obviously the way that telly works is quite different, isn't it? Because you run through things and then you film bits and pieces here and there. And so when there's a double header, Tanya would go off and do the post match interview. Then we'd come and review the game, but she's already done the post match interview, and then would say something that she's found out. And I was like, oh yeah, and it was so cool though. Like I think there's there's one thing to be able to be at live sport at the minute. That was a massive privilege, and it's something that I don't take for granted. Like I know how lucky I am. Like with Phil, like you going to Wembley and stuff like that. Like you don't take it for granted. In a pandemic and in the fact that nobody can go watch live sport. I meant live sport, and to finally get to see Leeds play. I mean, I saw Saints a couple of times, which was all right. It is meh. I mean, the great thing about that was, seeing Jammer or hearing him at least, because what a voice he has on the field. But just to have that, I think the first time to do it with John was great because John has the knowledge and you bounce off somebody. But the second time to do it on my own with just Tanya was mega because one, I'm not very good at saying like I'm good at things or kind of taking a minute to realise that little small achievements. But I think for Super League to have me on the show on my own means I must have been all right the first time. So I was really conscious of that and like I had a bit of paper and Tanya kind of laughed. She was like, "Have you done your homework?" And I'd just written notes down. I was like, "Absolutely, no shame at all. I've made notes." And she was like, "Actually, they really were really impressed that I'd actually gone to the trouble to do that." So, and John, the producer, messaged me afterwards to say, it really impressed and they want to use me again. And fingers crossed. Maybe when the BBC come round and the World Cup comes round and the women's game needs covering, maybe there'll be an opportunity there to do a bit more. And hopefully next season when it gets back to normal, they'll still want me to be on. And um, Tanya's mega. Like she's a real friend now, which is really lovely. We message about what coach she's buying or what runs we've been doing or exercises or and it's quite funny to think that she is a friend. Before the whole COVID thing, I went around for dinner, and she is going to help me push that kind of side of my career as well. And not, she said, not just because I was a friend, but because I'm actually pretty good at it. So that's really lovely, and hopefully, fingers crossed. It's not something that I ever thought initially that I'd want to go into, but now, if I was to retire, when I retire, don't know about that. Not so much coaching because I don't think I've got the patience for it, but definitely that side. So yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully, get more of that next year. But and obviously, it all stems from doing these podcasts.
Well, of course.
So I have to remember my roots and thank you guys for putting me through my paces.
Yeah, and you see now the difference of working with professionals like Tanya and working with complete rank amateurs like us and just like wing it. It's a different world.
I
Yeah,
mean, apart.
Tanya says, I've forgotten the question I was going to ask you.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, I've seen her do a couple of takes. Nobody's perfect, but it's cool to see her like how she works and to learn from how she does stuff. So, like, yeah, I think she's ace, and I am really grateful for. It's just like that thing I was saying to Andrew the other week, wasn't I? Like the opportunities in rugby league that I've had are just insane. From even from being on this podcast, as much you might mock it, like it's still mega. And I'd say to write in the column, but I'm sorry, Phil, for being very tardy and probably not having as much content as I need to. To do the BBC, to go into Wembley as a guest, and doing after dinner speeches, and had a really cool meeting this afternoon with Keith Senior at RL Care. So there's some stuff coming out, for that, and yeah, just there's loads of little things in the pipeline, which is really cool, and it all comes from the women's game growing and you guys putting my ugly mug out there. So thank you to you guys. To be fair,
send money.
It won't be long before she's walking past in the street ignoring.
Never, Phil. Excuse me, I'm going to confess something now. The first time I was on the BBC and I was driving to Headingley, who did I phone in a panic?
What goes on the phone stays on the phone.
I know, but I'm not. I phoned my good, knowledgeable friend, and also Rich. How many times have I messaged you to ask for advice or to ask about things? I'm not ashamed to say I know where my bread has been buttered, and I will stay true and loyal to the boys.
Usually trying to get some gossip, and I've got no gossip these days because I don't know anything.
To be fair, we've had the fair share of our mixing gossips.
My rolling rugby league gets smaller and smaller by the minute.